What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. Today, I'm actually rolling solo dolo as Divalox is under the weather. So shout out to Divalox. But it's a good Monday. Happy New Year's to everybody. The Knicks played the number one team in the Western Conference and actually pulled out a win, a much needed win after having a terrible road trip series of games that which they lost all three. So they were back at home, played the Minnesota Timberwolves today, and pulled out a nice win. Knicks won 106-112. The Knicks are now at 18 and 15. And, to me, this was a statement win, being that they did pull out a win against the number one team in the West, and Minnesota being the better team in the league. And, I've been saying for a while now that the Knicks have to learn how to beat the better teams in the league, and to be able to pull out much needed wins against those teams. Excuse me, guys. So I'm happy that the Knicks pulled out this win. I thought it was a much needed win. First quarter, Minnesota scored 32. New York scored 23. Second quarter, Minnesota's dropped 17. New York Knicks outscored them and dropped 38 points. Third quarter, Minnesota dropped 29. New York scored 33. And the fourth quarter, Minnesota scored 28, and New York got outscored that quarter and scored 18 points. So I did notice the fourth quarter, the Knicks let go of that lead that they had. I want to say at one point the Knicks were up by, if it was 20. And then I remember seeing them up by as much as 14. And then the Knicks, it was down. Minnesota cut it down to 10. And then they got it down lower than that. I think at one point they were only down by 4. And this was late in the fourth. But what I think was the difference maker in the fourth quarter that helped the Knicks get the win was Julius Randle. And this was the first time I actually saw Julius Randle be aggressive and take control of the game late in the game. The ball was in his hands. He made clutch, tough baskets. I thought that he did a great job stepping up and going to the basket itself. And I haven't seen Julius do this in other games where I've said over and over, I would like to see him do like what you see those great other players in the league do, where they're able to get the rock, go to the hole, and get the team much needed baskets to get us that win at the end of the night. And I thought that he, not only did he make the shots, but he did it with confidence. And he's been playing really well throughout these past few stretch of games. So even with those road game losses, he actually has been playing really, really well. So Randle, shout out to him because he really carried the team. Like I said, not just in these last few stretches, but especially in a game like today, because we know that Julius Randle and both Jalen Brunson can give us, 30 plus games in a night. But if you're going to give us, even 40, in a case like tonight, Randle had 39 points. What good is all of that if we're going to get the loss? But aside from Randle really pulling the game for us in the fourth quarter, I did like the team's overall team play. I thought the Knicks played really well together as a team. And I know when we did our show the other night, Ebony, that was one of the things. Shout out to Ebony. She had brought up was the Knicks. She wants to see the Knicks playing as a team. And if they play like a team, they actually are a lot more successful, which is true. When the Knicks play together, they're a lot more successful as a team versus playing one-on-one ball. And it's just Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson going to work and scoring the points. I really enjoyed that the Knicks scoring this game was well balanced. It wasn't, again, 2, maybe 3 guys that score really well. I thought the scoring was really well balanced. Julius Randle had 39 points, 9 rebounds. He did have 6 turnovers. And then he didn't have any assists. So I thought that was interesting. Jalen Brunson had 16 points. He had 2 turnovers. He had 2 steals, 14 assists. So that was like, I thought that shows he was also feeding guys the ball, down in the lanes and getting guys, setting them up, considering he was for the most part, he was off. This wasn't the best game from Jalen Brunson, but again, he still had a solid game overall. Dante DiVincenzo had a pretty solid game. He had 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, 1 steal, and he had a block also. Josh Hart is another one. He had 8 points, 11 rebounds. Josh Hart has been helping out with the boards, and I do like that with him. He's not afraid to go in and get scrappy and be able to get the team boards when they need it. Quinton Grimes had a pretty decent game. He had 10 points, 3 rebounds. Not too bad from him. I like the way he looked today in this game. I felt like Quinton Grimes looked aggressive. He looked confident. He had a nice couple of down the lane easy baskets that he was able to score. He did a nice Euro step in one. He does that reverse layup really well that I like that he does. But I actually like the way he played today. I thought he played a really solid game considering he was out the last game. I didn't know he was under the weather, but I don't know what meds he took, but he looked nice and strong. So, and then OG Anunoby, who this was his debut game with the Knicks. He had a nice solid game. He gave us 17 points. He only had 1 turnover. He had 1 steal, 1 assist, 6 rebounds. 50% from the 3-point line. He made 3 threes. I thought that was a pretty solid game from him, considering this was his first game with the Knicks. And not just what he did offensively, I thought that his defense was pretty good. I thought his defense was, you look at him, he's strong. He did a great job helping out, playing against, at times I saw where a few times he was helping out on Cat, in which he kept him disruptive, even though Cat did have a good game. But he had 29 points, 6 rebounds. But I still thought that he didn't go off like we normally see him do. And he is capable of scoring 20 plus points a game. And there was some plays where I saw Cat have the ball and there was great defense on him. It was just better offense, Rudy Gobert only had 10 points. He did have 15 rebounds, but he was very limited. And shout out to Isaiah Hartenstein, who had a very Mitch-like game. He gave us 7 points. He only had 1 turnover. He had 3 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists, 9 rebounds. I mean, you can't. He only missed 1 of his free throws. Isaiah Hartenstein, since Mitch has been out, he's been averaging about 3 blocks a game. And one of the things that he did really well in this game was it wasn't just the blocks, it was the other intangibles that may not necessarily show up right away when you watch a highlight reel of the Knicks game tonight, this afternoon. But I thought his defense was really great. I thought he was aggressive. He gave Rudy a hard time. He almost gave you like how Mitch a lot of times is a defensive threat presence in the middle. And it's not to say that guys on the Timberwolves wasn't taking it in the hole and in the paint and driving in. But I thought that he did a really good job not allowing Rudy to contribute with Karl Anthony Towns and both of them go off and have high scoring games. I mean, at times he did challenge Karl Anthony at the same time as well. But I mean, guys were trying to posterize him and he was blocking shots, or they weren't making them, he was altering shots for guys on the Timberwolves. So Isaiah Hartenstein, he also made some nice passes. One thing I did notice with him is that he always does, he's looking for guys to cut to the lane. And I thought tonight, guys did a really great job driving and cutting to the basket, and he was finding them. And I feel like if guys do that more, he's going to find you and pass you the ball. I wish that guys like DiVincenzo, Grimes, Josh Hart, cut to the basket and he's going to find you. He's a great passer for a big guy. But I do still think that the Knicks do need a center. We still need someone else. Precious Achiuwa did get a couple of minutes played. He played like 8 minutes and 34 seconds in the game. He had 3 rebounds and Yeah, he didn't really do much. He did look a lot undersized in the game. But again, it's just one game that he came in playing. You know, guys literally hopped from a plane and jumped straight on the court. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I've seen what he can do. And he can be a contributing factor because unlike Isaiah Hartenstein, Precious could actually stretch the floor and shoot the three as well. He's not afraid to throw it down, and he can be scrappy like Isaiah Hartenstein. But you know, and he has active hands like Hartenstein, who tonight did have very active hands. You know, he was all over the place, and it was very Mitch like s play from him. And you know, I like it. I like what I'm seeing from him. I think that Isaiah Hartenstein has proven he should be on this team, and he's holding it down as much as he can until Mitch heals back from his ankle injury. But overall, I thought that this afternoon's game, guys played as a team. I thought the Knicks, they shared the ball. The defense looked a lot better. You know, I thought that guys was guarding the perimeter. I thought that they would keeping up with their man one-on-one. I didn't see too many guys slipping past their man and in there trying to chase them behind as the Knicks typically do. Um, as far as stats go, Knicks shot 43%, Minnesota 47. 3 points, the Knicks were at 35%. They were 12 for 34. Minnesota was 39 at 11 for 28. Free throws, the Knicks were at 78%. They were 22 for 28. Not too bad. And Timberwolves were 23 for 29 at 79%. Knicks had 49 rebounds. Timberwolves had 34. The Knicks finished with 16 offensive rebounds and 33 defensive rebounds, whereas Minnesota only had 30 defensive rebounds. And then assists, the Knicks did a great job sharing the ball. Like I said, they had 23 assists. Timberwolves finished with 19 assists. Both teams finished with 4 blocks. Knicks had 7 steals. Timberwolves had 6. Both teams finished with 13 turnovers. And points in the paint, I thought the Knicks could have did a better job with the points in the paint. And I feel like the past 2-3 games, the Knicks have slipped in that category where we were getting an average of 60 to 62 points in the paint. And tonight they only had 46. Minnesota had 28. And I did notice like late in that game, Precious did have, he fouled out, which when I watched the replay, I'm not sure why he fouled out, just because it just wasn't no call there. So that kind of sucked that he fouled out. But, you know, aside from the good, I am going to dig into the bad. And, you know, I'm a stickler for the things that the Knicks could have done better. And one of the things that I keep harping on with the Knicks is the Knicks have to learn how to keep a lead and maintain the lead. And, you know, they did have 2 quarters where they didn't play well, you know, and that showed because first quarter, the Knicks got outscored 32 to 23. And then in the fourth quarter, they got outscored again. They only scored 18 points and allowed Minnesota to score 28. You know, so the fact that Minnesota only lost by a couple of points proves that the Knicks, you know, they slacked and didn't pull out that win strong in the fourth quarter as they should have. So that's one of the things I want to see the Knicks improve on. You can't allow teams to crawl back like that and get so close to damn near winning the game, which is the case of what almost happened this evening. The Knicks almost let up that lead that they had for most of the game, which would have been bad because you already came off of losing 3 road games. So I think with these home games, the Knicks have to take advantage and get these wins as they are sitting in the 8th seed. And, you know, I've said it before, and the Knicks have to be careful just because, you know, they don't want to find themselves sitting in 10th, 11th, or 9th, 10th, and 11th in the Eastern Conference, or sitting at 8th too long, and now you have to crawl your way back and try to get into that 5th or 6th seed. So it's important that they find their rhythm, start to win games. The defense has to pick up. Guys have to be able to share the ball and move without the ball. And I just think that, you know, they're going to have to make it happen without Mitch. You can't tell me that Mitchell Robinson's your only defensive threat on the team. You have to have other guys that are going to be able to step up to the plate, not just defensively, but also offensively. It can't just fall on just the same two guys of Randle and Brunson scoring points. I think tonight was a great example of why you need scoring from the supporting cast members on the team. And I think if Dante DiVincenzo, Quinton Grimes, and OG Anunoby can be consistent, because this is the issue and why the Knicks made the trades that they made, it was a lack of consistency. And I won't heavily put that all the way on Quickly, as Quickly was playing pretty consistent throughout the season. He had the start of the season, he had maybe a handful of games where he only gave us maybe less than 10 points, if it was 10 points. And guys are not going to always be on every night. But again, I think if, as the Knicks, they're finding their identity and trying to put all the pieces together around both Randle and Brunson, it's important for guys to step up to the plate every night. It can't just be you have 1 or 2 games, then the next 3 games you go cold. It's important that guys stay consistent and be able to contribute to the game. And this afternoon's game was a prime example of why the Knicks are capable of being a really good team. And again, I'm not saying that this team is complete. They're still missing pieces on this team. We do need a solid center, and we do need another piece. I don't think that OG is enough. I think that the Knicks still need another piece. And no, I don't think they need a superstar. But I think the Knicks need somebody who's going to be clutch, who can be a backup if Brunson or Randle is off, and who could get us a bucket whenever we need one on a consistent basis, and someone who's not injury prone. And I don't think the guy necessarily needs to be really super young. I think he can be in his mid-20s to late 20s and he'll do us good. But again, I think that we do need a backup to the center position, because Isaiah Hartenstein is going to need some help. He's been doing pretty good so far, but I think that we're going to need someone else. And I think we need another solid shooter who can create his own, who can drive to the basket, who passes the ball well, who can rebound, who has nice ball handling skills. So I think we need that all-around player, and that's what the Knicks are missing. Shout out to Eddie in the chat. Happy New Year, Eddie. He said, gritty win. Hopefully, OG adjusts after a few games. This should be springboard for more wins. Yeah, I agree. I think that I definitely think OG is going to adjust. I think that I'm hoping that what happens is the Villanova guys, they have a connection, but I would like to see it more so in games, that connection reflect. And I'm hoping that with the Knicks players watching film, I'm hoping that guys will start to cut to the basket more and develop that. Isaiah Hartenstein developed these connections with certain guys on the team to cut to the basket and get to the lane, and he can make passes with them. They need to start utilizing that more so also. But I definitely see OG adjusting. I don't see him having a problem with that. He's a good player. He seems like he has a pretty good basketball IQ. He's strong, like Randle. So I think that this is going to be motivation for these guys to continue to win. But again, I'm not going to get my hopes too high. And also, I noticed that Randle was actually smiling in this game, which is a rarity, because Randle doesn't really smile much. Like, for the most part, he has this like angry resting bitch face that he always has. And I'm not sure what that's about. And I guess some guys don't really show much emotion, but he was like flexing, and I think rightfully so. He should. He deserves every minute to do that. This guy's really been in his bag, the past 8 to 10 games now, and I don't see him slowing down. So, Randle's been on his grind. Yeah, Randle deserves the ball for this. Absolutely. Randle has really been carrying this team. And this is what I'm saying with Randle. If Randle plays the way he's been playing, I'm going to fall back off him. I'm like, you got this, bruh. I'm not even challenging you, because do you. But my thing is, don't just do you individually. Make that spread over to the team and get the team a victory. We know you could give us 40, 50 points in a night, but does it result in a win is where I'm coming from. And I would like to see Randle's play result in a W. When the way he's hot right now, I love it. And it's even better when it's a W and the Knicks get the win. But in the fourth quarter, we blew the lead. Not a good sign to almost give up a double-digit lead. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying with the Knicks. The Knicks have to learn how to not just get a lead, but they have to be able to keep the lead and, not allow teams to come so within, 4 or 5 points with the last few minutes of the game. I think Cat had hit a 3 at the end of the fourth. And that brought them to within maybe like 4. And they were like, using the clock, Minnesota, to try to get them back in that game. So if he would have hit that last one after the one he made, it wouldn't have tied the game, but they probably would have been within 1 or 2. So, you can't allow that as a team. You have to. One thing teams do well against the Knicks is that they will be up by 20, be up by 15 to 25 points. And they will keep that lead and hold. And it's like they want to finish the Knicks. I don't even want to give them any breathing room. And that's the mentality the Knicks have to have when they're playing these teams. Show no mercy. You guys got to go out there and be scrappy, be gritty, and go out there and really just finish teams. And don't even allow them to come within 10. Take that lead and hold on to that lead as it's possible. Other teams do it to the Knicks all the time. So I think the Knicks have to really be able to keep those leads in the fourth quarter and hold it. And it's so key that the scoring remains balanced throughout the four quarters for the Knicks. A lot of times the Knicks may not start strong in the first quarter, and then they'll bounce back in the second. And in the third, which the Knicks are very, very popular for doing, is that they'll have a really lackluster third quarter. And when you have a lackluster third quarter, it sets the tone. And there's very few times the Knicks could crawl back. They've done it like once so far this season where they crawl back within 20. Can't remember which team it was. If anybody in the chat knows, let me know. But the Knicks don't really do that well where they can crawl back in games. Now, they can crawl back and get themselves within 10, 12, but I haven't seen where we had like what Randle did this afternoon and he took over for the game and got us those clutch baskets that we need. And if Randle could step up and start doing that in games at the end of fourth quarters and take the ball in his hands, and Brunson to set him up. Brunson's willing to pass. But if guys can prove that what they did this afternoon and make baskets and get to their spots, Brunson is going to pass that ball. So he will be having 15, 20 assists a night. But it's that trust factor he has to have also. But again, I think it's also the way the offense is moving, the way the Knicks are playing, and the Knicks not allowing teams to dictate how they play when they play against other teams, which is, key. But if Randle can keep going deeper into his bag and get that ball in his hand and do like which Tatum will do when it's that end of fourth quarter and Tatum gets that ball in his hand, and he's able to go off and get his team back in it and get them the W, or like a KD or a Booker would do. That's the kind of Randle I want to see playing. I know you can give us 25 plus points a night, but can you get us over the hump is what I want to see from him. Because right now, this afternoon was the first time I seen really Randle do that. Like get the Knicks that lead and take over the game and be a leader. And, I know Randle said he's comfortable being the second, third option, but I don't think you really have room to be a third option, my guy. You're really like the second, because it's really Brunson who's the first guy. But Randle shows the capability of being the first man, the first guy in the game. But I think if Randle continues to step up the way he has and take over when we need him to, and those last final minutes, the Knicks will be successful and he'll be even more of a threat. And now you have options because you have other guys you can pass the ball out to, as long as he watches passing also, because that's another key thing. But I will give him credit. He hasn't been turning the ball over as much or making silly passes in the air as he was. So he seemed to really found his rhythm. And I truly think that with these changes, and the Knicks are not done with the changes and the moves that they're going to be making, the Knicks are going to really get into a groove and find their rhythm and become a better team as the season goes on. Brunson is in a near slump after Bucks game. His efficiency is down. Yeah, Brunson has been his shooting has been in a slump. It has. I mean, especially tonight's game, I was a little surprised Brunson didn't have at least 20, 25 points. But he remained a point guard that orchestrated the offense. He found other guys on the team. I know some Knicks fans complain, oh, Brunson doesn't pass the ball. He does too much dribbling. Brunson was out there orchestrating and passing that ball. You know, he did at one point miss like 3 shots in a row. But then he came down, he made his next one. But from what I was watching, he was passing that ball to guys and setting guys up. But that's the difference between really great players and selfish players. And sometimes it's okay to be selfish. But what I liked was that he saw he was off and he said, okay, it's not my night. Randle and other guys are getting the job done. So I'm going to make sure to set them up and give them the ball and etc. But I'm not worried about Brunson because one thing about Brunson is he steps up in the games that matter. When the Knicks are in the playoffs, he steps up. When the Knicks play those tough teams, and I'm going to say except for today and maybe one other game, he steps up to the plate. But when you have Randle in his bag, it takes a little pressure off of him. You know what I mean? Now he can truly be a passing first point guard. And if the shot is there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. You know, he did go to work on his mid-range, which he has to learn to do when the three-point shots are not falling. But otherwise than that, I'm not too concerned with Brunson. I know he'll be able to bounce back and get that efficiency back up. Tibbs overplayed Brunson to the point of exhaustion. But I think the problem with that is that Tibbs right now is focusing on keeping either Brunson on the court at all times or Randle on the court at all times with the changes that's made in the lineup. With both RJ and Quickly out, I think Tibbs is focused on keeping either Brunson on the court, and if he sits down, then Randle. You know, most times they were playing together, but he's trying to keep one of them on the court this way to, you know, be able to keep orchestrating the offense the way he needs it to run. So that's one of the things that I did notice in this game. But I agree with you. I think that, you know, Tibbs has to be careful. You don't want to tire Brunson out or, you know, prevent an injury from him playing so many minutes, you know, during a game. But I also wonder, with you saying that, Eddie, like, who's the backup point? Because with IQ gone, who else are you comfortable with bringing that ball up that's not going to lose it with the defense playing up and playing defense, you know, on whoever's bringing up the ball. And I did see Miles McBride bringing up the ball, which I am comfortable with McBride bringing up the ball. But the problem is Tibbs doesn't play McBride as many minutes. So who's the next option to bring up that ball and be able to orchestrate the offense when Brunson is on that bench? Because DiVincenzo, he's okay. You know, you're not going to really see Josh Hart here and there bringing up the ball. And I'm not really comfortable with Randle bringing up the ball. His ball handling skills as far as playing up the point position, it's not great. So I think that's one of the things with the Knicks is that they need to have a guy who, and not only that, I think Brunson needs to break, to be honest with you. It has to be very exhausting to constantly be bringing up the ball all the time. And not to say that he's complaining about it. He knows that's his role. He's playing his role. But as a player, sometimes it would be nice to have someone else to bring up the ball. This way he can go in his spots and he can be past the ball and he can go to work. But he always has to bring up the ball because the Knicks don't really have a solid backup point who can really handle the ball with comfort and with ease watching the team bring up the ball. So I don't really know who else would we have doing that. Yeah, Duce was under pressure, and that's why he didn't get as many minutes. It wasn't just because the game was close in the end. I don't think and Duce is going to get better. He is. He's gotten better from where he was. He's going to get better, but he's not to that level of where Jalen Brunson is to bring up the ball. And even Quickly. You know, Quickly, I was comfortable when he was bringing up the ball as a backup, but the Knicks don't really have that. And I think that's something that they have to really look into and make sure you bring in the right player who, if Brunson is on that bench, you have somebody solid who could bring that ball up. And another problem with Duce is he's not that tall. So if he's bringing a ball up and he's getting double teamed, it's hard for him to get rid of that ball. You know, if he gets, and I've seen where it's happened where teams have double teamed him and now he's stuck in the corner. He has the speed, you know, and I love Duce because his focus, you know, he's very motivated when he gets out on the court. You can tell he's trying to get better. He wants to gel in with the team. And his time is coming. I just think that he just, you know, he's got to get there and work on his game even more. But I just don't see Duce being the backup to Brunson bringing up the ball. I don't think he's there yet. It's just like with Grimes. Grimes still has work to do, you know, but I thought Grimes did very well off the bench. My thing with Grimes is, can Grimes be consistent? You know, the issue with Grimes is he'll have a game like this afternoon where he scores 10, you know, he's in the lane, the defense as well. And then the next two games, maybe 3 games, he's quiet. You know, you're looking at Grimes like, where were you? Where were you? You don't get any production from him. So I'm hoping that Grimes can use today's win as momentum as well, not just the team, but guys like Grimes. DiVincenzo also, I want to see consistency from DiVincenzo. I want to see him be able to consistently be that other option besides Randle and Brunson to be able to give us productivity and points that the Knicks need. You know, because he shows that he can do it, not just because he dropped 38 the other night. And I read where he said, yeah, 38 is cool, but we didn't get the win. And that's my point. I don't care if you drop 40 points or 50 points. Who cares if we didn't get the freaking win? It doesn't matter. The wins matter. Because if you keep losing, like I said, the Knicks got to be careful. You'll find yourself in 10th and 11th, and now you're trying to call your way back within the Eastern Conference standings. Speaking of wins, the All-Star voting is counts for 3 votes today. So if you guys get a chance, don't forget to go out and vote for both Brunson and Randle for this year's All-Star games. Today's voting counts as 3 votes, which is nice. So put your votes in. You can vote every 24 hours for them. And I think both of them deserve to be in the All-Star this season. It's going to be in Indiana, and especially Brunson because he hasn't made it. So, you know, let's get them both in the All-Star this year. For the Knicks, they do play again. Their next game is not until Wednesday. The Knicks will be playing Chicago, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, we play the Bulls on Wednesday, 8:30 game. And the Bulls haven't been doing well. So to me, it's, you know, they're in 10th at 15 and 19. They're below 500 team. And when the Knicks play teams that are below 500, to me, it's no reason why you should be losing to those teams. You shouldn't sleep on those teams, but it's no reason why you should be losing to teams like that. So I'm looking forward to the Knicks being able to pull off a win against Chicago. And I also think these games this week are much needed wins. The challenging game is definitely going to be on Friday against Philly, just because they are a really good team this year. The challenge with Maxey and Embiid, those two together are just a great combo. And, you know, they have a few other key players on the team, but they have found a rhythm. They're locked in, and the Knicks will get there. But I think it's key that the Knicks find their rhythm and show teams that we're not going to be a cakewalk here. We can beat you, and we will beat you, and not just one time. We're going to beat you multiple times when we play you. So the Knicks have the ability to definitely do that. And I want to see them do that just because they're capable. They can do it. So I want to see definitely Friday's game for sure. And then Saturday. So the Knicks have a back-to-back. They play Friday against Philly. And then Saturday they play Washington. In Washington, the Knicks have beat them already. Again, another team. Like with Wednesday's game against Chicago, the Knicks should be winning that game. I think with my mom and I's prediction, we had them at 2-2. So they're off to a good start with this afternoon's game win against Minnesota. But I would like to see the Knicks, if they can, go 3-1. Why not? These are games that you need to win. And I think they need these bounce back wins just because they didn't have that road trip wasn't really successful for them. So we'll see. Yeah. So Chicago, they're 15 and 19. They're sitting at 10th in the Eastern Conference. Philly's 22 and 10. They're sitting at third. And then Washington is just awful this season. They've only won 6 games. And that's another thing too. Like, don't embarrass yourself. Teams like Detroit, Charlotte, Washington, you should be beating those teams. I'll say Toronto, Atlanta, and Chicago, even the Nets, those are teams that you can't really for sure sleep on because it's going to be a bit more of a challenge to you as a team. But again, you should be beating these under 500 teams. So I definitely want to see what the Knicks are going to do with those teams. Let me see something. I wanted to see. Okay, so Chicago, here's something really interesting, guys. Chicago beat Philly Saturday, 105 to 92. So you see what I'm saying? Why you can't sleep on any teams as the Knicks? Because anybody's beatable in this league. Anybody. So, yeah, I definitely want to see the Knicks take, if they can, all 4 wins. I'll be super happy. But Chicago just beat Philly on Saturday, 92 to 105. So if the Knicks could get this win on Wednesday, I'll be happy. Chicago, they're not really a threat. I don't see why the Knicks would be struggling to beat them. What do they have? Caruso, Zach LaVine. They don't even have LaVine. They have DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond, who Isaiah Hartenstein is definitely going to have to guard, Kobe White, Caruso, and that's about it. And then they got Patrick Williams. But again, and you know, they may have that one random guy who all of a sudden wants to be really good because players tend to do that when they play the Knicks. It's some random guy no one knows, and he wants to shoot lights out against the Knicks. But DeRozan against Philly, he had 24 points. Patrick Williams had 13 points. Andre Drummond had 23 rebounds, 15 points. Kobe White had 8 rebounds, 20 points. Caruso had 14 points, 5 assists. And everybody else is pretty much 6 points, 4 points here and there. But those are the guys you really got to watch out for. But again, I'm not worried. I just think that the Knicks have to come out with that same intensity and energy and be able to take these guys with confidence, be 5 steps ahead of Chicago, and get these wins. These are much needed wins. You're going to be home. There's no reason why the Knicks should be losing to Chicago, Philly. Philly, like I said, will be their only challenge, or Washington. But definitely Wednesday and Saturday's games, I need the Knicks to win those games. And Friday, we'll see. We'll see. But we will be back with more coverage, covering the rest of the games this week. And then again, shout out to Dope Soul Sports, Knicks Talk and Sports Talk. Queen, at some point this month, I will update you guys. We will be back with an all-women's panel. And at some point, I'll be on her show. She's always having me on, and we're going to be having guests on our show starting with this year. So look out for that. And just some more little changes that we'll have coming in a good way. But yeah, that's it for me today, guys. I did wanted to recap this Knicks game. I'm very happy with the win. I like what I saw, and I would like to see that brought over with even better defense for Wednesday's game. So yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the replay gang. You guys are definitely tuning into the videos, and we see you. And anyone who leaves us a comment, we always respond back to all comments. And anyone who's new here, welcome, and subscribe to the channel. I'm usually here with my co-host DivaLox21. She's under the weather today. And yeah, we just bring real raw content of Knicks content. So pre-games and post-games, and any Knicks news. And we just give it how we see it. And this is no filter. This is realness that we bring about the Knicks from two females' perspective who actually love the game of basketball and the NBA period, and we're true Knicks fans and have been Knicks fans for years. And like most Knicks fans, we're eager for a championship. So we'll see what the Knicks have in store for Wednesday. And salute to Eddie. Salute to Shaw Legacy. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope this is a prosperous, excellent New Year for everyone out there. And keep staying tuned to the content here on our channel. And yeah, we'll be coming back with more. And we'll be back. What's today? Monday? Yeah, so we'll probably be back on either tomorrow or Wednesday to prepare for Chicago game on Wednesday. So that'll be a goodie. But yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and rocking with me. And until next time, tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe, like the video before you leave out of here. And yeah, until next time, everybody, peace.